Welcome to Centurion session number 5. This is part 2 of the session. In the previous session, or in the previous segment, I guess we call it, we covered Canvas quizzes. If you're interested in learning more about Canvas quizzes, please visit the Centurion session number 5 Canvas quizzes portion. Just a reminder, as I always do, the faculty area on Canvas, the home page, gives you the ability to view all these different Centurion sessions plus other helpful materials within this the home area. All you need to do is click on the item that you wish. It will open in a new tab, so you can always return to the home menu. And you can access all the different Centurion sessions that have been hosted. It's just kind of my way of making it easier for you to access material that is going to be relevant to you, for you. And in this case, you can access the 5th one. And from here, you will be able to find materials relevant to today's session. In this case, items, just kind of an overview on OneNote. But what you will also find here is I will be posting this recording that I am actually recording right now on this page here, so you can go back and review it. My hope is that I post the full version that is going to have limited editing. And then also a too long didn't read version for those of you that don't want to spend 30 minutes reviewing step by step, but just kind of want to get the gist of it. So it's my hope that I have that up there as well. Obviously, along with extended periods of recording comes extended periods of editing to shorten that up. So please be patient with that. It might take a couple days, maybe a week, but I will have that up there for you as well. So just a reminder that this is available if you are not a part of the excuse me, if you are not a part of the faculty page, please get in touch with me via email. You can see my emails right here, and I can add you to that page very quickly, very easily. So today, what I'm going to do is spend some time talking about Microsoft OneNote. Hopefully, it's something that you will find from this session to be useful, something that you can put to use within your classroom, or maybe just for your general organizational needs as far as what you do and how you approach all the content that you have. The beautiful thing about OneNote, as you will see, is it can be used across multiple platforms. The first thing I'm going to do is show you how to use it within Office 365. For those of you that are not familiar with Office 365, it can be found within your OneLogin. It's this item right here. In the same way that you go to check your email and set your calendar and things like that, you can also access many different tiles within here. If you don't get the same homepage that I get, I can show you how to set that up. But if you don't, you will always have this option up here where you can find all your different apps, much like what we see right here. But in any case, all you need to do is go to where it says OneNote, okay, and it's right here in this case, and it's over here in the homepage. And that will allow you to access what we're going to cover today. For this little lesson, I guess you could call it, excuse me, you're also going to need to know about OneDrive, because that's where we're going to go to create new OneNotes and also delete OneNotes. So be aware of OneDrive. It can also be found, if we go up here to the corner, it can be found right there. So first things first, we're going to head on over to the Office 365 version of OneNote. Before I do that, though, I kind of cut myself off. And when I'm talking about the different platforms, you also have the ability to access OneNote via a desktop app, okay, much like Word or PowerPoint, for example. We can access those through Office 365, but we can also access them through an app. So OneNote is very similar to that as far as that goes. Another way, as you'll be seeing a little bit later in the presentation, is there's also an Android or iOS, a mobile app that you can access from an iPad or an iPhone or whatever Android or Windows phone that you have. You can access it from that. So lots of ways for you to be connected. And we're just going to go over this and show you ways that you can add to your connectivity. So here we go. The Office 365 option. When I click on that, what it's going to do is it's going to take me to my notebooks. Okay, that's what they're called. They're called notebooks. And it's first going to bring me to the most recent ones. This is a compilation, in my case, of notebooks that are owned by both myself and others. But when I say others, they have given me access to it. If I want to view just the notebooks that I've created, I click on My Notebooks, and that will show me what I have. The one that I use the most is a staff training notebook, and I'll pop that open quick just so you can kind of see what I have going here. I'm by no means an expert in organization of my OneNote, or my notebooks and the pages within the notebooks and the sections and all that stuff, but I do find great use in it and the ability for me to kind of partition things off depending on what it is that I'm working on. So, for example, I use it when I go to conferences, and I will talk more on this in a little bit later in this session. But I went to one called InstructureCon, which is a conference for Canvas out in the beautiful town of Keystone. I don't know if you call it a town, city of Keystone. But what happens is if I click on this, it'll bring up, I created a page for each different section that I went to. Now, if you've never created any, it's in that case that you need to go to your OneDrive. And within your OneDrive, what you need to do is go up top to New in the upper left-hand corner and click on OneNote Notebook. And it will allow you to give it a name. And just like that, it will open up in a OneNote online. So go up here to New, and then OneNote Notebook, and it'll ask you to give it a name, and it will then generate it for you. Now, I'm going to back out of this one. You can always go up here to Notebooks, up in the upper left-hand corner below File, and that will take you to a list of the notebooks that you have. And what I'm going to do, just for the sake of instruction, is I'm going to use Centurion Session 5. I'm going to use that one. That's the one I created. And what you're going to see here is kind of just the general lay of the land is you can create different sections. So for example, I created this one under the name Centurion Session number 5, and I had two different topics that I discussed today. I discussed Canvas quizzes, and I also am discussing currently Microsoft OneNote. So what I did was I created a section for each. And within each section now, so for example, the Microsoft OneNote, I can then create pages. So let me put this into terms that might be easier for an instructor to follow. You got a class full of students, or you got multiple courses that you teach. You might have a section for each course. Okay, each course is a different section, and then within each section, you might have a student page where students can add items, or you just have a notebook called Intro to Communications, and then each student has a section, and then you have each student kind of build a portfolio within that and add different pages so that they can add different material, and they can use this to share with other students in the course. And it's very easy for you to share a notebook with other students. So for example, I could click up here and click on Share, and what I could do is I could share this with you right now. There you are. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to share this with you. And now what it should do is it should pop up if you go back to My Notebooks, or Notebooks, excuse me. It should show up in Shared with Me.
Well, that raises an interesting question because in my notebooks, I have ones that have been shared with me. These are and I just made this one as Joel at home.
Yep.
So.
And what about Shared with Me over to the right?
Oh, okay.
Okay, so it worked.
Yep.
That's a good thing. I've had it plenty of times where it doesn't work, so it's always good. You know, I mean, it's good to problem solve too, but not during a training session. You know. So let's go into that notebook and just kind of talk about the features. Once we create a section, we could add another section for notes or something like that, and that would add there, and we could add some pages, as many as you want. We decide we don't want that notes section. All we have to do is control click or right click on it and delete it, and it will go away. It's not quite as easy to delete the actual notebooks themselves. To delete notebooks and delete them permanently, we need to go to our OneDrive to do that, and actually find the item that we want to get rid of. Okay, and then click the check mark next to it and click on delete. But we're not going to do that right now. I don't want to do that because I want to continue to work in this. So back to the notebook I go. And in this notes area, I've added some things just to show you some features. As you can see here, I actually have a PDF of an overview. It's very easy to add things like PDFs to your OneNote. So if you want to share some instructions or something like that with a student, you can do it right here within your actual page. And to do that, you need to go up here to these different options that you have. So for example, in the home ribbon, you have options for editing text and modifying your text and changing the color and highlighting and all the basic things that you're used to seeing in Word. In addition to that, you also have the option to tag the items with different tags that are available to you. Now, I'm not going to spend the time to go through all of them because everyone has the ability to kind of peruse these on their own and play around with them. And me going over them isn't as useful as you going over them. So I'll leave that to you. But if you move over to Insert, you have the option to add new pages right from here. You have the option to record audio. So I could click on this and just start talking. Let me show you that I have the ability to do that. I have to allow it to use my microphone. But once it does that, as you can see right here by this time bar, it is actually recording me. And just to make sure that that worked, hit play. To use my microphone. But once it does that, as you can see right here by this time bar, it is actually, now I gotta make it stop. And what you can do from that is you can actually allow students in here and share this with students, or you could share it with department members of your department or any committees or things like that. And you, instead of typing things out, you could just add voice notes just like that from here within Office 365. And if we get out of this, there's many other things that we can add. I am particularly fond of being able to add a video. So I have this YouTube video already pulled out, but you can add from Vimeo or other sites as well. But to add a video, all you need to do is click somewhere on your page, just like that, and eventually, and it should do this, it will load a preview, there you go, of the video, the URL that I just threw in there. And we can actually play it right from here as well. So maybe you're putting together a quick lecture, maybe you got an online class or something like that, and you want to share this notebook with your class, like, hey, maybe you meet once a week. So maybe for each class period, you have a page that students have to access. And the beautiful thing about this is if you allow students to, they can edit it as well. So they could actually give you feedback right within this notebook here. So it's a pretty useful tool. You can also add a file printout. What you're seeing right here is actually a file printout. So I actually went to Insert. Oops, gotta click on that. Go to Insert and then File Printout. And that will allow me to search out a PDF that I might have, or an image that I might have, or even a Word file. Okay, but for this particular example, I'm going to find a PDF. Let's see, staff training. I have a whole group of PDFs here. And I can actually throw in a PDF, and it will load it and display the PDF in its entirety right within my OneNote page. And I promise it will, because as you can see, it's loading. If you don't want to load it that way, though, you can just put a thumbnail for it. As you can see right here, I have a couple different thumbnails, but as you can see now, it loaded this PDF here, okay, right within my OneNote page. Okay, obviously.
Are they very readable? I mean, this is
Oh, yeah, very. I mean, it's a little bit smaller. We can obviously, get rid of it and make. I'm gonna just click on it and delete it. But I can actually take this and make it larger so that you can view it easier. Nice thing too is you can move items around. So I have these thumbnails here that are kind of, when I enlarge this thumbnail here was in the way. So I took it, oops, I'm going to take it and actually move it and get it out of there. And so now we can see this a lot easier. Students can view this and just read it down right from here. And maybe you want to even kind of have kind of a, hey, this is how we're gonna flow here. Let's see, let me get it out of there. Oops, go here, clicking things, trying to make things work. Actually, I'm jumping the gun here. That option is not available in this. I swore it was, though. I wanted to add a shape, but we'll just have to leave the shape portion to the next step. But basically, what you see here is we have the ability to add a whole bunch of things. We can add file attachments as well, share it. All those things are available within Office 365. Obviously, more robust is going to be the application itself, which is going to be very useful. It is available on both Mac and PC. And as you can see, the application looks very similar to the Office 365 screen. And has a lot of similar traits, obviously, because it is OneNote. But the beautiful thing about the app itself is that you can actually add new notebooks. And to do that, all you need to do is go up here and click on the plus sign, and that will bring you to this backstage area, which allows you to create a brand new notebook. So what you might do is click on new and click on the color notebook you want and say, how come create isn't an option right now? Well, that is because you haven't given it a name yet. So all you have to do is type a name there, and that will then allow you to click create. You can try and change the location of it. In my case, I can't, which is fine with me because I like it being saved in my OneDrive. And I click create, and what that will do is two things. It will create a new notebook, but if you look at this list here, you're going to see that there's a bunch of different notebooks here, and one of them, the one I just created, has kind of a syncing icon on it if you look very closely, and I got it covered up on my mouse right now. Actually, it just went away. But what that means is that it is syncing with the other areas that I have this stuff available. So if I go back to my notebooks, we will see that my notebooks now has a new notebook called example, which is the one that I just created. And so if I go back to the actual app itself, it will be there ready for me to edit it. By default, it creates an untitled page. I can change the name of the page, okay, and it will also update over here on the right. The app differs from the online or Office 365 version in that it displays your different pages over here on the right. Obviously, as we had it here, everything is displayed over here on the left, so that might take a little bit of getting used to, but it's not a huge deal. Just like we saw with Office 365, the ribbon up top has the options to add items. You can see that the item that I was looking for before, the shapes, is now readily available within the app, and that's a nice feature to have. Another nice feature is the ability to draw. You can actually draw within your OneNote, and it will show up if I were to access this particular example. I go to OneNote, or my notebooks, and example, it should show the drawing that I just did. Okay, so even random doodles like that will now appear within my notebook. So what I'm going to do now is I don't want to view this one anymore. I obviously want to work with my Centurion session one. So I'm going to go here and click on close. Now, close doesn't delete the notebook. It just closes it. We can still access it by opening it back up. If I click on the plus sign and go to recent or open, I will be able to find, there's my example one, I could open it right back up. Or open other notebooks that are not currently open. If like I had mentioned before, the only way to delete these notebooks is actually to go to OneDrive itself and then find that example file, which I'm not seeing right now. I don't know if I'm overlooking it or what. I'll give it a refresh and see if it shows up. I shouldn't have to do this, but there it is. And I can just go click on the check mark next to it and click on delete. And this will permanently delete it from all different platforms. Okay, I can get rid of that example. So that is something to be aware of. When I first started using OneDrive, I didn't understand how to delete these things. You'd think that you would be able to delete it right there from OneNote itself. Well, you can't. You have to go to OneDrive to get rid of those things. But once you do, it will be gone across multiple different platforms. I mentioned that you could have the ability, or you do have the ability, to add shapes. So for example, if I go to insert and I say, hey, read this tutorial class, but now I also want you to go over to the video, okay? You can add an arrow that will point them in the direction if that is how you'd like to set up your course. And you can make the arrow look all sorts of different, take it on all different formats. Okay, and you can modify it and adjust it as needed. So there's a lot of different options as far as the items that you can add. You have an audio tab here as well, so you can add your audio just like you did on the 365 version. You can put a password. If you want to put a password on a particular sheet, you could password protect these. So maybe you shared a notebook with a class, but you have your little area that you don't want the students to see. You can actually password protect a particular section so that they can't see it. They would have to know that password. Maybe it's an example where you have a group presentation, and each group has a different page within the notebook, and while they're planning it and while they're prepping it, it's password protected. When it's time to present it, you can take the password protection off, and everyone can view everyone's different page. If you want, you can also change the color of the background. You can also, if you wanted to just have it like notes, so for example, let me add a new page here, a nice blank page, and this could be, hey look, we got a note page here, which is actually on notebook paper, and it's on the yellow legal pad type paper. Maybe you like to work with grids and things like that. You can set that up and you can change your paper style. If you go to your app store, if you have a Mac, or it should be readily available if you have a Windows machine. I don't know if they're on these lab machines, but if you need access to it, we can get you access to it at the help desk. Not necessarily on these machines, but on your personal device. Okay, let me check my notes here and make sure that I'm covering everything. It's pretty basic, pretty straightforward stuff. It's just a matter of getting comfortable with the features. And more importantly, how can you apply it to what it is that you're doing, whether you're teaching students, whether you're managing individuals on the job. There's lots of different options for OneNote. As I said, and I'll just go here to my staff training notebook, as I call it. And if I go to my conference tab here. So for example, I went to InstructureCon this summer, as I stated, and what I do is I create a notebook, and then for each session that I go to, I create a page. And this is where I go to, this is where I take my notes. I also like to tweet them, but this is kind of a one-stop shop for all these different items. More recently, I went to the WCET. In fact, last week in Minneapolis, I went to this. And what I did was I got sick of typing things out because they were moving so fast. So I had to, and this isn't like it's groundbreaking or anything, but I had to take pictures of slides. And it wasn't like I was holding my laptop up to do those, but I used the mobile app. Here's my OneNote app right here, bottom right-hand corner. Open that up. And if I click on the up top left, I got those 3 lines. That's kind of my menu. And I have all my different notebooks here. And so if I go to my staff training notebook right up top, which is the one that has the conference tab, and right there you can see the different sessions that I went to. From here I can click on the plus sign at the bottom right to add a new page, or I can access different pages. So for the one that I was showing you with the images, it's the accessibility by design there at the very bottom. And so I'm taking notes in this and I'm saying I can't keep up, or I don't want to keep up. I just want to add some images for later consumption of these slides. What you should do is click to edit in here and then click on that photo icon bottom left. And then, sometimes you got to work through this the right way. It's not always the case the first time around. And you take that photo, and then it will place that photo right there. Okay? And so if I'm going to take this mobile window, I'm just going to minimize it. And what it should do, it should eventually sync. We can see it's trying to sync right now. And it all depends on how good my mobile connection is. But eventually, it should show up right here within that particular notebook. Let's see if it synced yet on the 365 version. Let's go to staff training notebook. And let's go to that WCET conference and the accessibility by design. Well, this one's synced. As you can see, the page that it auto-created for me is already there, and there that is. But the accessibility by design is now synced as well. And so in Office 365, that image that I just took with my phone and placed on that page is already available on the online version, and hopefully, and it's now available on my app as well. So it's in multiple different places. So there's lots of utility as far as that goes, and I could be working from my computer, but need to snap that picture quick, and now I can continue taking notes on that session. Okay, so just more value as far as that, and that's what it's really about, is creating value. I mean, how can we use this? What can we use this for? Once you get started using it, you're going to keep coming back to it, and that's the beautiful thing about it is, you know, for these conferences, I have this stuff set up, and I know that this works well for me. What I'll eventually do is go in and add different screenshots of the tweets that I took, and so I won't have to go to my Twitter timeline in a year and say, where are those tweets that I tweeted like 24 months ago? You know, I would take screenshots and have them here for my notes as well. So lots of different ways. Everyone's going to use this differently. What I like about this is, as you use it differently, tell me how you're using it differently. Share with me so that as I do these things, I can share with others. And that's when we get the true utility of it, is everyone using it as efficiently as they deem possible, bringing that all together and helping each other out with that. So that's pretty much what I have as far as OneDrive goes. The true beauty in it is the accessibility. You might not be able to use your computer. You might not have access to your phone, but as long as you have internet access, you can access your 365 version of this and get to all your notebooks, your files. Maybe it's a video, whatever it is that you placed on there. That's the beauty of the cloud. Maybe you're out and about and you need to view something on your OneDrive or on your OneNote. You can just hop on your phone and just like that, bring up your OneNote and say, what was it that I had that I met with that individual on 2 months ago? You can go find that item that you have, that notebook, bring it up, and then review it right from your phone. Not while you're driving, though.
Right.
Yes. All right, well, that's pretty much all I have for you. As always, if you have any questions, like I said, stop by my desk in the help desk, or better yet, shoot me an email. That's the best way to get a hold of me. My information is on my business card as well, but one true way to find me at any time of day, and by all means, contact me day or night, is this email address right here. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you being a part of this. Have a great day.